The fact that nobody wants to talk about the cultism menace in Edo State, it's a reason why we should all be worried. I'm very worried too. And the fact that it is getting very usual that after 2 months break, these guys resume and killings here and there in various parts of the city and the state, extending to high institutions and everywhere. It's looking like it's not becoming a norm. And for those of us who are hardworking Nigerians residents in the state, indigenes of the state as well, trying to make ends meet to ourselves, and the brand that is now associated with us is that 90% of us are cultists. It's not fair, and then we must correct it, right? While we even try to say, okay, we can look away at cultism, which is still not possible, but the killings associated with it in recent times, especially in the last 15 years. Of course, cultism has been a menace for a long time. Remember back then in the university, it used to be something that big time. Of course, I understand how deep in it has grown in the country, that to contest for certain offices in the student union government, you must be anointed or blessed or blended to some level of confraternities, right? And then gradually, what you used to see those days more was at final year, the evils that you may have done in school can catch up with you, and then if you are not lucky, you can go in for it. But these days, it has gone to the mainstream, the cities and the streets, communities, and it's becoming very rampant. As I talk to you now, Benin City is hot. People are fleeing. A lot of deaths have been recorded, and the state government seems to do nothing about it. We hear in beer parlor conversations that the comrade governor used a style of negotiations anytime there were crises, but this current governor chose to ignore as a way of dealing with the issues. But it's not working. It's been 7 years as governor of the state, and if by your 7th year strategy has not been working, it means it will never work. And it's only a fool that will go to bed when his roof is on fire. I don't know. I think those of us who are Edolites that mean well for the state, whether you're a cultist, whether you are not, we need to begin to have a roundtable conversation of how this can end. A couple of people that would believe are cultists in the state have also spoken widely, surprisingly, against the killings. And that means that I am safe to doing this video, because anytime you tell your friends you want to address the issue, everybody is scared for you and say, don't. I'm not here to call any name. There are no pictures to compare. There's no video that I'm going to add. I'm just saying it's high time we started to look at a way of ending this menace. As I talk to you in the state, there are primary schools that have been pointed out by investigative journalists and several other persons as being hotspots for cultism grooming in the state. Primary schools, I'm not saying secondary, primary schools. There are some areas in Benin City that if you have a 10-year-old child, as I talk to you, he would have been blended into a court. And minus the popular courts, there are several growing courts that are emerging every day. It's a menace. Right? There are security outfits where notable individuals in these security outfits are known by certain persons to being cultists. Right? There are church general overseers and pastors and business leaders that are known to be paying severance to the courts that they belonged to while they were young. They will keep empowering them, they keep sponsoring them, so to speak. There are certain organizations that you cannot work in if you don't belong to a certain court. Right? And then there are some government functionaries that we hear that are also in some courts. And that's why it's almost difficult to end the crisis. Because at top functionary meetings, you are going to have rival court personnel representative. This thing I'm saying is not for any reason of ignorance to people in high authorities, in the state executive councils, in the police, in the army, the DSS. It's not new to them. These informations are everywhere, because I used to watch movies where something has become a menace. People used to send detectives. They forced to send detectives to go to a city to monitor and check and bring report and investigate. And then at the end of the day, they become part of them. I watched several of those movies, and then I wonder why it doesn't work in Nigeria. I'm saying it here. My name is Mr. Common Sense, and I'm saying it here. If you're truly a delight, a young man, a young woman, no matter what you'd have been involved with, there are several renounced cultists that are now valuable assets to this state. Let's come together to end this menace. I don't know. My head is blank, but I just think I need to say something for us to start to look at better ways. The next governor of Edo State must put before us on the table a strategy to ending the cultism menace in the states. I know it's going to be difficult because it means that you may not likely get support from the group. And I know why some of these things are happening. A lot of these guys use these cult groups to get to power, use them to perpetrate certain level of evil, use them to intimidate, oppress certain persons to get to power. So it's difficult to now look back and bite the fingers that actually fed you. Fingers now. Let's stop this thing. It's really, really painful. Businesses are dying, economic activities. For the past 4 days, I had an event on Sunday. I was coming back home, and then people were calling to say death here and there and all that. And so I was really, when are we going to stop? It's not about robbers, it's not about kidnappers. You meet people of the same environment, the same community, take guns and take arms and go and shoot another person. And because you want to count certain level of scores, and it's really, really, really terrible. We can do better actually. Young boys and girls in the state, let's do better. I don't know. Those of you in the diaspora, some of you were part of this while you were here, now you have left here, and then you should be worried. I was told of a young man that lost 2 of his younger brothers. Some days ago, we were told of a man that they went to look for him in the house, they couldn't find him. They shot his wife and his baby. I remember, I think it was in one polytechnic, right? Where they went to a hostel to find someone, they couldn't find him. They shot over 10 persons, his girlfriends and all the friends and all that. It's painful, right? It's really painful. And then as someone that is really worried, I'm really, really worried and concerned. I never had the privilege of joining one. Never had the privilege. Even though I grew in a cultism prone environment. But maybe my parents, God helping me and guiding me through my parents, that's not giving me that chance. But I look back and I say, thank God. But several persons have joined and they've been trying to also get out of this and move on with their lives. Several persons used to say, I used to be this, but I moved on. But the killings are getting too much. I want now too many. So you hear that, okay, lives have returned now. Jerry is quite fine now. Everybody's back to business. In another 2 weeks, you hear that somebody has been dropped again and all that. What do you think? What do you really think? What do you think we can do to end this menace? It's bothering me, and I think it should bother everybody. How do we end this? Let me hear your comment. Let me hear your opinion in the comment section.